time to be a hero. Welcome to this week's edition of the Comic Hero Show. I'm your host, Victor Nunley, and I am the Comic Hero. Alright folks, we had a small incident that happened here at Clint's Comics. Somebody broke in, and about 8:30 this morning, Clint got the call from the Monroe Police that it was broken in. And I just want to say that if you broke in, you better turn yourself in, because you can't break in here at Clint's Comics just like you can't break in anywhere else.
Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, that's right, Clint. And also, by the way, I have Renee's shirt, and when she comes back, I will give it to her.
That was awesome. I'm looking forward to that. Big time.
All right, great. So, I gotta ask, any questions?
Questions I walk around in, questions I didn't crime in, questions
All right, only have one question, and it's from Mark Alba, who, oh, by the way, I want to acknowledge that I'm having somebody man camera for me, and that's my good friend Joe Stokes. And, yeah, thank you so much, Joe.
You're welcome.
All right, as soon as this pulls up, okay. Now, oh, by the way, this question is asked again by Mark Alba. He asks, what if Bruce Wayne is actually in Arkham the whole time, and Batman is just illusions he has? Would all of his villains be the orderlies and doctors who work there? You know what, Mark? That is such a great question, because it never really dawned upon me that Batman could have ended up being in Arkham Asylum, a few years after his parents were murdered. This makes I mean, when you think about it, come on, just about all the characters in Batman, in some shape or manner, have mental illnesses. And Batman, he has a mental illness too. I mean, he hasn't gotten over the passing of his parents. And then there's the Tim Drake Robin who is afraid of boomerangs, but that's only because Captain Boomerang Sr. and his father killed each other. All right, but yes, that would make a lot of sense. And who knows? DC may do an Elseworlds book, based on that. And I mean, if they ever do and it comes out, I'll definitely read it. All right, that's it for any questions. Just remember, if you have any questions at all that you want to ask, there's the contact information down there. Don't be afraid to do so. And I would really love it if I could have more than one question an episode. And I'm going to start a new rule. Now, remember I said that if you ask a question, if you want to submit a question for the Any Question segment, you have until 11 every Wednesday morning. Okay, yeah, that's still going to stand. However, if you are here at Clint's Comics at the time that I'm doing an episode of the Comic Hero Show, you can ask a question right then and there. All right. Now, a good friend and fellow member of Sanchez and the Symbiotes, Kiefer Price, had requested that Dr. Manhattan and Thanos do battle in a segment I like to call DC versus Marvel. Hulk smash! Welcome to DC versus Marvel. Today, it's Dr. Manhattan versus Thanos. To make this interesting, let's have Thanos use the Infinity Gauntlet. Dr. Manhattan possesses 12-level intelligence, superhuman strength, telekinesis, teleportation, full control of matter at a subatomic level, can create and destroy matter, reactive adaptation, evolution, duplication, force field creation, projection of destructive energy, full perception of time, physiological manipulation, omnipotence, omnilinguism, physical immortality, or able to walk on the surface of the sun, resurrection, healing factor, ability to reverse entropy, ability to create life and animation, intangibility and phasing, cross-dimensional psionic blast, gravity manipulation, flight, size shifting, precognition, disintegration, density control, matter manipulation, superhuman tracking, ecological empathy, ability to reconstruct himself on a subatomic scale, and no need for air, food, and water. Thanos possesses superhuman strength, stamina, and durability, genius-level intellect, energy manipulation, telekinesis, teleportation, and longevity. With the Infinity Gauntlet, he possesses omnipotence and omniscience. Who would win? This fight would be endless. That's mainly because Thanos tries too hard with the Infinity Gauntlet, and Dr. Manhattan uses all but two of his abilities. Realizing his power set is much higher than Thanos, Dr. Manhattan creates a copy of himself. The copy goes back in time before Thanos can get his hands on the Infinity Gauntlet, learns the rudiments of it, takes the Infinity Gauntlet, and goes back in the present and gives it to the original Dr. Manhattan. Manhattan then teleports both of them millions of miles away from the solar system and vaporizes Thanos with a combination of his own powers and the Infinity Gauntlet. Dr. Manhattan wins, and that concludes this DC versus Marvel fight. Alright, I hope you enjoyed that DC versus Marvel segment, and I also have a request for another segment, for next week's segment, done by one of my coworkers at my job, Dawn Marie Till, and I will have that for you next week. And if you want to request any DC versus Marvel, anyone to do DC versus Marvel, remember it has to be one DC character and one Marvel character. It doesn't necessarily have to be hero versus hero or villain versus villain. I mean, it could be any of those. But just remember, if you want to request, you can go ahead. All right. Up next is Comically Speaking. So without further ado, let's talk comics! Alright, I'm only going to talk about one thing in the, well, I'll talk about two things in this Comically Speaking segment on today's episode. Well, this week's episode, rather. Alright, I just read Convergence number 7. Now, for all of you who don't know, Convergence is this mini-series where this alien named Telos is taking every character in the DC multiverse and having them to do battle against each other, and whoever wins, their city gets to live. If they decide to refuse, they will die. And along the way, there's been it appears that Telos wasn't exactly the villain in this miniseries after all. It was actually some guy named Deimos, who's some kind of demon, and he's pretty much pitting all the bad characters in the DC multiverse against all the good characters. And all the characters in the New 52 universe, well, they're actually going to, they just found out about it, and they're going to go in there and find out what the heck is going on. And and then this character that Superman first met, called the Oracle, who is this character that's made of some kind of alien tech and meteorites. He tells Superman, "Well, you're too late," and that's how number 7 ends. And number 8 is come out today. I'm so looking forward to buying that and then reading that, and I will definitely let you know what happens in next week's episode. Okay, and the next thing I want to talk about is the Fantastic Four movie. I've talked about it myself, and I've talked, you pretty much heard me like go off on Marvel because they canceled the Fantastic Four book, or better yet, they ended it, all because out of protest of what they did to what 20th Century Fox is doing with the reboot. I've come to the conclusion that I see what they're doing. I see what they're doing. They're trying to diversify things, and they're not necessarily going by the who's ever directed this movie. He's not going by the comic book series at all. Although I have to admit, Miles Teller casted as Reed Richards / Mr. Fantastic. I think that was a pretty good cast. And the one thing that I'm talking about is Michael B. Jordan. I'm really stressing about it in terms of what I'm talking about is Michael B. Jordan. He was casted as both Johnny Storm and the Human Torch. Now, at first I was a little put off by that because but there's nothing wrong with diversity in terms of movies, unless you're not going too far off. And I read an article where he said that he was a little bothered by the criticism that he got, but then later he said that he was fine with it. But I really don't think it's a bad move. I think it's great. I think it's great for 20th Century Fox, and it wouldn't surprise me if it does well in the box office. It might not, but you just never know. Hey, I thought Mad Max Fury Road was going to do well. And from what I've heard about it, it really wasn't a good movie. I mean, of course, I haven't seen it, so I can't really tell. But this is kind of getting off subject of comics, but we have got to stop all this racism going on. I once posted a comment on Facebook a few months ago where I said, "There's one thing I can't stand. It's racism coming from anyone." I think it's going to be a great movie. Oh, by the way, Renee, I have your shirt. I'll present it to you at the end of the show.
All right, thank you.
All right, that's it for Comically Speaking. Now then, let's get to the comics I bought this week.
Comic books I bought this week.
Okay, there was one thing I was forgetting, and that was what happened in the last issue of Hulk, which was number 16. Well, I found out that that Bruce Banner, we found out who actually shot him at the last issue of Indestructible Hulk, which was number 20. It was Betty Ross, and she reveals it at the very end. And while I'm thinking about it, Hulk is going to be one of the 33 books from Marvel that are going to be ending during Secret Wars. It's going to be getting its own Secret Wars series called Planet Hulk, and it's going to start the Steve Rogers Captain America going up against a whole planet full of Hulks. All right, now on to the comics I bought this week. First up is Nova number 31. This is the next to last issue of the series, and a certain character that's very close to the Sam Alexander returns in this page. Up next is the Sinestro Annual number 1. This is the first annual for the book, and of course it stars the longtime arch nemesis of Green Lantern, Sinestro. And over the years, he's formed his own Sinestro Corps, and now in this book, he actually gets his Sinestro Corps back together. And speaking of Sinestro, I have 2 issues of that book. I have Sinestro number 9. And Sinestro number 10. Now this is going to be one of the books that's going to be continuing for DC post Convergence, and normally I'm not one to buy books that stars villains, but Sinestro has been one of those characters that has really appealed to me, and that's ever since I used to watch him on Super Friends. Well, old episodes, Super Friends. That series of Super Friends came out 3 years before I was born, by the way. I just saw old episodes of it on Cartoon Network. Okay, that's fine. All right, up next is Deadpool number 44. This is the next to last issue of the series, and the series just recently ended. And this is a tale. Deadpool's a married man now, and this is his wife there, who's actually Dracula's sister, and they actually decided to team up and go on a mission to look for something. As to what, I really don't know, but I can't wait to read it. All right, next up is Uncanny X-Men number 34. This is the next to last issue of Uncanny X-Men, and of course this is one of the 33 books that's ending in Marvel during Secret Wars. And what's been going on in it is that there have been these creatures that both Emma Frost and Emma Frost ended up finding it, and she ended up bringing it in as a student to the Jean Grey School. And this suggests that Emma Frost and Mystique are going to be going up against each other, or are they? And lastly, and I'm so thrilled about buying this book, Convergence number 8. This is the last issue of Convergence. This is an 8-issue miniseries that debuted in DC. It's ending, and it's also going to pretty much preview. It's going to end, but it's also going to preview what's going to happen in the New 52 universe to come, and I can't wait to read it. All right, that's 7 I bought, which brings the total number of comics I bought since December of 1997 to 6,820. All right, y'all, for y'all who watched last week's episode of the Comic Hero Show, this is Renee. This is Clint's girlfriend. At the end of the last episode, I promised Renee that I would make a t-shirt for her. So, Renee, I would like to present you with your own Comic Hero t-shirt.
Thank you.
All right.
I really like that.
All right, you're so welcome.
Thank you.
All right, and also, if you want your own t-shirt, the prices for adult t-shirts are $12, and for children, they're $7. Now, however, if you want to buy the t-shirt and bring it to me so I can do the rest, for adults it's $10 and the blank tee, and then for children it's $5 and the blank tee. Oh, and also, and there's the contact information right down there, and if you and guys, if y'all want a t-shirt, just let me know, and I'll do just let me know and I'll do the rest. And also, if you have any questions for the Any Questions segment, or any requests for DC versus Marvel, contact information down there. And by the way, this t-shirt I'm wearing is the second of 2 t-shirts that I made there. For all of you don't know, I attended and graduated from Homer High School. I was a class of 2000, and I made this in a way of paying tribute to Homer High School. And I tell you, there's plenty to go, and I'm just gonna give y'all a heads up. But starting next week, in every episode all the way during the summer, I'm gonna be wearing T-shirts that are the theme of are different colleges here in the state of Louisiana. As to why I'm doing that, I can't say on here. But if anyone can pick it, if you can watch the episodes that are to come, and you can find out if you understand what I'm getting at, then that's great. All right, I'm Victor Nunley. I'm the Comic Hero. I am going to go ahead and pay for these books. I'll see y'all next week. Till then, be safe, be blessed, be a hero.